Suddenly, Harry's malfunctioning memory wasn't so sketchy. The petulant prince had been in the witness box for hours, fending off question after question with the immortal words, "I don't know," and "I don't remember." Astonishingly, the reticent royal went on to admit to the High Court that he had no evidence at all that any of the newspaper stories he was suspicious about were obtained by illegal methods. "That's why I'm here," he declared inexplicably. But amid the extraordinary vagary and laughable lack of detail, Harry was crystal clear about one thing: his trip to the London laptop club Spearmint Rhino. It was 2006 when he was still in the army, and with perfect recall, the former Captain Wales insisted that the naked Lithuanian writhing around on his lap looked nothing like his then-girlfriend, Chelsea Davy. "That is factually incorrect," he boomed. He also stated that, to the best of his recollection, he did not recall Chelsea going mad about his sleazy night at a strip joint. So he wasn't sure about Chelsea's alleged fury, but he was certain that the nude girl cavorting on his midriff did not resemble her. I guess there are some things you just don't forget. Who knows where the Duke of Sussex's case against Mirror Group newspapers is heading? The judge's final decision is not expected for months, and in fairness, Harry is just one of a number of high-profile people who claim they were the victims of unlawfully obtained stories. The problem from the prince's point of view is that he doesn't seem to be able to prove any wrongdoing whatsoever. He's just convinced that underhand tactics must have happened. But is royal certitude enough to persuade an eminent judge that journalists on the Daily and Sunday Mirror and The People were up to no good? Representing the papers, Andrew Green, KC, asked Harry, "Are you aware of any evidence that gives any indication whatsoever as to the extent to which you were hacked, if at all?" To which the fifth in line to the throne replied, "No. That's part of the reason I'm here, my lord." This was the jaw-dropping moment when we wondered what the hell the privileged prince thought he was up to. It's certainly an unusual approach to taking legal action, to treat the court like a fishing expedition, some kind of roulette wheel in pursuit of the proof you do not have, to apparently assume that the alleged truth you seek to establish will somehow emerge from the austere legal proceedings organically. An optimistic outlook, to say the least. But the fear now is that Harry's blind faith in his own truth has collided head-on with the truth and been found wanting. Was the 38-year-old Duke's long and arduous courtroom ordeal just a very expensive way of emoting his sense of injustice and rage? Does he even realise that most litigants do not launch action without a shred of evidence to prove their case? Does he comprehend that turning up 24 hours late because it was his kid's birthday was not a great move in terms of getting the clearly irritated Judge Timothy Fancourt on side? During his first day on the stand, Harry said, "I don't know," no fewer than 18 times. He came across as a man totally unprepared for the onerous task at hand, like a haughty aristocrat who presumed that the precise details were beneath him, his high-priced legal team's responsibility rather than his. Did the prince really believe that flying to London to thrash around in an abyss of no proof was protecting his absent wife Meghan and his family 5,000 miles away in California? Perhaps his supporters admired his principled position, and it's hard not to sympathise with the still grief-stricken guy, consumed by a burning rage over his mother's death in that awful Paris car crash a quarter of a century ago. But throughout Harry's faltering performance on the stand, he certainly revealed that he knows nothing about how newspapers operate. Some of his descriptions of what journalists get up to were like science fiction, the meandering musings of a man on a mission to clean up a media industry he simply does not understand. Then his thoughts on democracy, of course being central to the royal equation, the state of the press, and the Tory government, both of which he thinks are at rock bottom. Maybe this was all Harry wanted: a platform from which to scream his anger and despair, a chance to tell the world about his hard life in the gilded cage of palaces, private jets and global fame. If so, I suppose he did okay. But if the King's son is genuinely hoping to win his case without evidence, I wish him the very best of luck. God knows he's going to need it. I mean, it was a strange spectacle, wasn't it, JJ? A man standing there saying, well, I don't have any evidence, that's why I'm here. Eh?
Yeah, it's like, I'm the biggest Harry and Meghan defender.
It's not about whether we...
I know.
It's the court.
But yeah, on this, I have to say, I think this is a very expensive way for Harry. You hit the nail on the head. A very expensive way for him to make a point and say, the media's really bad, they've treated me badly, they did my mum wrong, and now I'm here to fight back against it. But what he's alleging, and the way that he says, the way that he thinks we as journalists decide on how we're going to operate and do things, he's completely miles off the mark.
Yeah, he made descriptions of newsrooms and what journalists get up to that JJ and I know, and every Fleet Street journalist you'll ever meet knows were a complete fantasy, absolute nonsense. Well, and yet he's formed this truth in his own mind. He's decided this is what happens in national newspaper newsrooms, and it's just not true.
Yeah. Whereas the mad thing would be that you're a very, very famous person and you are at most points in your life surrounded by other people you have no control over who have every single ability
100%.
of kind of saying their side of the story.
Yeah.
It just seems really bizarre that he doesn't think it came through those channels, through people doing that.
Yeah.
I just think that he's a bit delusional with it all. And the idea that, he's had a tough time, and absolutely his mum had a tough time. But look at the lives that people live. Like, he's not taking the temperature of the nation, is it? Like, that doesn't make it okay, but there are so many people who would love to have been born with that privilege. If that's what you have to handle and put up with.
Certain rival TV channels, they used actors to play Prince Harry in court. And let's have a look at this one. It doesn't really look much like Harry, does he?
I believe that, again, as a child, every single one of these articles played an important role, a destructive role in my growing up.
Danielle, why do you think they got David Platt from Coronation Street to play Prince Harry?
Who knows? Because he put the pauses in the right places.
Fifth in line, tip through. Fifth in line, tip through.
It should have been me, shouldn't it?
They just found any red-headed man with a beard and got him up there. That's like replacing me with Richard Pryor. Absolutely ridiculous. The guy looks nothing like Harry.
Yeah, I know. They weren't the only channel to use a lookalike actor, but they weren't lookalikes, that's the point. But, I mean, I kind of get that. It's quite entertaining, but half the fun is they don't look like who they're supposed to be. It's like courtroom artists, those ones who do the sketches.
Yeah.
They never look anything like the people they're supposed to have drawn. Something about courts. Now, we're going to move straight on to bad ads.
You want to give him something for Valentine's Day that he'll treasure forever? Then give him yourself, all wrapped up in glamorous color portraits from Glamour Shots High Fashion Photography. It's the hottest Valentine's gift idea in years. He'll love your beautiful portraits, and you'll have fun too. Your Glamour Shots photo session includes a complete makeover, hairstyling, wardrobe selections, 12 to 15 poses, and instant viewing of your color video proofs. Call today for an appointment. It's the perfect Valentine's gift. Glamour Shots.
You see, you think that advert was made years ago because of the hairstyles. Actually, it was made yesterday by people who are very old-fashioned. They have very old-fashioned ideas about huge hair. But I like that. You give your partner yourself as a gift. £29.95.
Yeah, I'm asking for a refund, mate. Absolutely.
This is still happening. They're called boutique photographs.
Of course.
And it still goes on where people... I had a friend of mine, not going to say her name, and she did that. She had these sexy pictures done and gave them to her husband for Valentine's Day.
What? No, what would you do if Henrietta gave you a picture of herself for Valentine's Day?
I'd ask for the £29.95. I keep saying it's pounds. Dollars, of course. Dollars, of course. Only in America. Now it is time for anti-social media. Take it away. I would rather stick red-hot pins in my eyes than listen to Kevin O'Sullivan. He is a big fat twit. I am not fat. I may be all the other things, but I am not fat. Right, here's another one. Another satisfied customer. Kevin O'Sullivan is obsessed with Philip Schofield. I don't know what he means. I think he means Kevin O'Sullivan is obsessed with Philip Schofield, as opposed to Kevin O'Sullivan is obsessed with Philip Schofield. Have you heard the phrase flogging a dead horse? Our friend continues. Get over it. Drama queen. Thank God. Thank you very much.
As you told.
And here's another one. These people are obsessed with Bill Gates. What are they going to do when Bill Gates dies? Oh, look, says this tweeter. It's Bill Gates' boyfriend, Kevin O'Sullivan, again. I've never even met Bill Gates. I bet that has gammon for breakfast. Don't eat meat, actually. Next! Ah, dear. Danielle, I gather you too.
Yeah, I've joined the club now.
Praise on social.
Yeah, I was in the media last week, so now that's it. Now they're going to destroy me. Just watch the interview with so-called Mizzy. That is what it's called.
Yeah,
I haven't a clue why he was invited to speak on Talk. Also, what were you wearing? It was most definitely not workwear. Maybe due to my previously working in banking, where anyone turning up wearing a dress like that would get sent home to change.
Yeah, well, whoever sent that tweet, I've got a little message for you. Danielle doesn't work in banking. She works at TalkTV, and she has a certain style, and she turns up dressed to kill.
Exactly. Thank you,
can
Kev.
go.
Yeah, you can be anything today except a female who wants to dress sexily.
It's time, I think, for real adverts, isn't it? What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
One thing seems to have become clear following Boris Johnson's dramatic departure from Parliament, and that is that the boys and girls in the Westminster bubble believe that their internal machinations are more important than the democratic decisions of the people. Whatever you think about Bojo, he was the democratically elected MP for Uxbridge and, at one point not so long ago, the democratically elected Tory Prime Minister with a thumping 80-seat majority. More than that, he was the democratically elected Premier who finally got Brexit done, a towering achievement for which the majority who voted to leave the EU will be eternally grateful, but for which the Remainer establishment will never forgive him. As Boris found out a week or so ago, the viciousness of the blob knows no bounds. Now he's Mr. Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister and former MP for Uxbridge, after a committee of 7 politicians concluded he had deliberately misled the House of Commons with lies about the lockdown parties that have wrecked his career. Given that the man had already lost the job he lusted after his whole life, given that he had fallen so far, was it really necessary to effectively hound him out of Parliament altogether? Why do so many of Westminster's elite appear to despise Boris with an unusual passion? Is it because of his enduring popularity, the ease with which he connects to people, the effortlessness of his vote-winning appeal? Was, in the end, Johnson's defenestration down to the seething jealousy of political minnows who envy his brilliance, his humour, his funniness, his natural likeability? Make no mistake, millions of Brits did not want Boris to go. But in our post-Brexit world, the self-appointed VIPs of Westminster don't care about the people who they apparently believe should be protected from their own base instincts. Boris represented a change of direction that the establishment loathed, a decent new system in which the electorate led the way and politicians were required to follow the people's instructions, the way it's supposed to be. Forcing out one of Britain's biggest characters for allegedly telling a little fib to the House of Commons seemed suspiciously like a power grab by MPs determined to rule the governmental roost again. A Westminster without Boris is a Westminster less accessible, a Westminster that wants to be less accountable. Millions of citizens voted for him. 7 obscure politicians decided to destroy him. This is not a party political issue. The most critical voices on Harriet Harman's Privileges Committee were the Tories. This is about how things get done. And Boris did not conform to the snail-paced pomposity of the stupefying system. He was different, and that, ultimately, is why he's gone. His detractors will say Boris quit because he's a coward who feared he would lose the by-election triggered by his suspension from the Commons. They will say, with some justification, that the ludicrously long list of cronies he wanted to honour with peerages, knighthoods and the like was an abuse of his privilege, another egregious example of the institutionalised corruption that oils Westminster's rancid wheels. Boris thought that his successor Rishi Sunak would nod through all of his nominations, especially his MP mates Nadine Dorries and Nigel Adams, but not forgetting his dad Stanley. None of them made the cut. Sunak says Boris asked him to do something he was not prepared to carry out, and now says that if people don't like it, that's just tough. Fighting talk. But Boris is a fighter too, and he ain't going quietly. Dismissing the Privileges Committee as a biased kangaroo court, he issued a 1,000-word-plus statement in which he said he is the victim of a witch hunt. Ominously, Boris announced he was leaving, at least for now, and accused Rishi of running a high-tax, non-Conservative administration. Many Tories agree. And who would rule out a return to the frontline fray for the extraordinary Boris Johnson? Surely Sunak has made a major mistake, making a major enemy of Westminster's most charismatic star. Meanwhile, beware of a parliament that prefers its own self-reverential bureaucracy to the rightful sovereignty of democracy. And on that poem, JJ, that rhyme at the end of that, I know you're not a massive fan of Boris. I've got my reservations about him as well. But I'm uncomfortable about what's gone on over the past few days. He is a democratically elected MP. He was the democratically elected Prime Minister that people got behind and voted for, and MPs have decided to kick him out of our democratic chamber. There's something undemocratic about that.
Yeah, first of all, Kev, well-written monologue.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic, really well done. Bojo is a clown. You can say that.
That's what I'm saying.
He's a clown,
but he's funny. But he's not stupid.
He's not stupid. But the Select Committee is there because of democracy, and rather than go with what they've decided, Bojo decided to step away before he's kicked. That's not anyone else's fault. The committees are there. We listen to the committees and all the other decisions they make. But now for Boris, suddenly, no, this is a kangaroo court. I'm not going to stand for this. I'm out of here. That's the least democratic thing he's ever done.
Yeah, and, he left Parliament like a great warrior with a sort of javelin ready to take on the fight. He really left Parliament because he would have got a suspension of 10 days or more for his crime of misleading the House. That would have triggered automatically a by-election in his Uxbridge constituency, which he was pretty likely to lose. That's why he's gone. He's gone because he's a bit of a coward.
Yeah. He didn't want to lose the game, did he? No. He didn't want to be a loser, so he just decided. I didn't vote. I've never voted for the Conservative Party. I think
from the north.
Yeah, and I think Boris, I'm allowed to say this, I've been told by the producer, is a bit of a
Sorry, Boris is a or Chuck, our producer. Because that works for both of them.
Boris, just let me make that very clear. I like my job, Boris. There was something about him that I did like, and I don't know why, I just liked him a little bit, and I think it was because he was a little bit of a fool, and that made him human to me. So I actually quite liked that about him. Yeah. In this case, it's a case of throwing his toys out of his cot, isn't it? But other people made mistakes. It does feel like they're really going for him, does it? I mean, other people did. But
you think
it wasn't just him at the party on his own, was it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But you think that he will come back?
100%.
So tell us how you think it's going to play out.
I think we're going to see Labour ultimately win, whether they have to do a deal with someone else, but Labour are going to win the next election. Sunak's going to have his tail between his legs. Yeah. Braverman is going to come in, or Braverman, whatever you say her name, Cruella de Vil, she'll become the next leader in opposition. After 9 months of everyone being like, actually, you're full of hot air, Braverman. She'll be out. Hot air, yeah.
Full of hot air.
That's right. And then Bojo will come back in. He'll win an election seat, and he'll become the new leader. And the people who voted for Labour and are disappointed with how slow they're moving on things will be like, actually, yeah, let's get Boris back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing is, you'll agree with me on this, JJ, that as a journalist, I'm sorry he's gone. He's the brightest star of Westminster, whether you like him or hate him.
Yeah.
He's a big star, and he's great for headlines. He's great for journalists, and as such, I think Westminster is diminished by his departure.
All of those great characters, Boris Johnson, Trump, Berlusconi, there's something that people bought into with them and made
They're all dying in one way or another.
They're all
aren't they?
going. But they made us more interested in politics for the average man. I think that's a good thing.
By the way, in terms of Sunak winning the next election, breaking news. Just a couple of days ago, on Sunday, 616 migrants came across the channel in small boats. I'm going to stop the boats. No, you're not. And therefore, you'll lose the election. Now, talking of voting, you may have noticed that Caroline Lucas is quitting Parliament. Therefore, the Green Party is losing 100% of its MPs. She's the only one.
Oh, no.
But in happier days, she was campaigning to get into Parliament and had an unusual technique of enthralling the audience at a comedy show. Take it away, Caroline.
You've been very patient. I can guess the last thing you wanted on a night out at a comedy club was to be ambushed by a politician. It's not exactly been a laugh a minute, I know. But the truth is, if the other parties get their way, then some seriously unfunny stuff is going to happen. And that really is no joke.
She knows how to capture the crowd, doesn't she? I mean, they were enthralled. It's a comedy club. It's a comedy club.
Tumbleweed.
She comes out there to absolute kind of funereal silence.
Poor Caroline. Look, all joking aside, I think she's been a fantastic politician. She's always had integrity and she's operated with honesty and transparency. And I can't say that for many of our politicians today. So I think she'll be a loss.
Yeah, she was a nice lady. Definitely
Yeah.
a nice lady. I had her on my show quite a few times. Always willing to come into enemy territory.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt that she was thrashing around in an abyss of uselessness, but, I admire her commitment to her task. Will you miss Caroline Lee?
Oh, will I? I've
you know
already
who she
sent.
is?
I've already sent her a goodbye card and a little basket of muffins. Yeah, I have no idea.
Caroline Lucas, she's like the Matt Letizia of football. If she'd been at a bigger party, I think she could have made some huge changes.
I like the way she goes about things. Because
What,
she seems,
silencing the crowd?
Yeah, I like that because it takes a bit of courage. I'm all for a strong woman. Like, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I am too, but in her future career, I don't think she should consider stand-up
No.
as an option. We're going to move on to the best of bad TV.
Are you ready to lose weight by walking, talking, sitting, sleeping, or...
Who'd ever think I could lose weight while watching TV?
Do you believe in losing weight just by talking on the phone?
I even lose weight during my everyday chores.
Introducing Slim Suit. Just put it on to take weight off. It's that easy.
I think when you go on a diet, those suits look great, don't they? It can take a long time before you see the results, but not with a slim suit.
6 hours ago, I was absolutely panicked because this dress was too tight. So I knew to wear my swimsuit while I went shopping, exercised the dog, and did my gardening. And now my dress fits perfectly.
It's simple. The more active you are, the more Slim Suit works for you.
Slim suit works. I lose weight every time I wear it.
She doesn't look that slim, does she? Maybe leave it a bit more than 6 hours next time. 6 hours. Oh, look, I've lost all this weight. Shadow of my former self. That brings down the curtain on another excellent edition of What Just Happened. So thank you very much to JJ Anisiobi, who I do actually like secretly. And thank you, as always, to the wonderful Danielle for the night talking away. We'll be back next week with another sparkling edition of What Just Happened. What just happened?